I could not bring investors to a project like that. It just would not give you any return on your investment. And I'm a businessman, and I can't support anything that is just throwing taxpayers' money away on study after study, and then also paying the different people that are sitting on that authority board. What is that money being used for? So I'm not against railroads per se. I think in certain areas where the demographics are different, certainly in Los Angeles, where they need mass transit, that it's wonderful that they're finally doing something. But here, the demographics aren't here, the demand isn't here, and it's unfinanceable. The other thing that I don't see happening, that nobody seems to have really focused on, and that is my office is located on First Street, right next to the Waterfront Cafe. I have a wonderful view out my window to the bay. Every day I sit in that window and I look out towards the bay and watch the boats go by, watch the pelicans go by. The idea of a freight train going in front of my office carrying gravel, I just can't believe that the citizens of Eureka would ever accept that. Sure, we had trains many years ago that were carrying logs out of there. Times have changed. We're not doing that kind of logging anymore. So I just don't see it. Number one, it's not financeable. Number two, how could the people that are in the businesses that are in Old Town ever accept that? We have people living in our loft buildings in Eureka that are there during the night. There's no time when people aren't in Eureka, in the Old Town area, right on First Street. So things have changed, and we have to recognize that people have rights to not have that kind of a disturbance in their neighborhoods. I would be curious, because I know that one of the people that's running for one of the other seats, Dan Hauser, who is a strong advocate for the trains. I would be curious if he would be such a strong advocate if we were talking about that train running through the Arcata Plaza all times of the day and night. I'd be curious if he'd be such a strong supporter of it.
One thing that a somewhat controversial study some money was spent on, as one of the other candidates pointed out, was the Headwaters Fund Board spending money on that Redwood Marine Terminal feasibility assessment.
Right.
Do you think that Headwaters money is being well spent as far as creating the jobs that were lost as a consequence of protecting a particular grove of trees? Would you like to see the Headwaters Fund money more spent towards actual improvements instead of just studying improvements on the harbor?
Absolutely. I would love to see the Headwaters money spent for actual improvements. I would love, you talked earlier about building a marina, and I talked about doing a water trail, physical things that people could actually use and that would generate jobs. Yeah, I would love to see them do that. It seems like most of the proposals that are coming up to spend the Headwaters money are government agencies or NGOs that want to study something. And no, I agree. I think that we need to have projects brought up before them that actually produce something physical. I mean, I'm an architect. I love to see planning done and creativity done that actually results in something that people can live or work in or play in or go to theater in. This is what I dream about. I mean, this is what I do. If I only do plans that never get built, I would be a failure. I cannot understand how people can spend so much money on planning and studies and never get any result. How can they live with themselves? I could not possibly do that. If that happened to me, I would consider myself a failed architect.
Just bro, last question, I guess. As far as the politics of the Harbor District, obviously it's become more competitive in recent years, more campaign money flowing in, more candidates running for the seat. We got 3 candidates this year. That hasn't happened for any of these seats in a good long while. Do you think the district has become a bit too politicized? Yes or no, and why? And then how would you intend to conduct your campaign? What sort of backing have you encountered so far?
Well, I really have a difficult time answering that because I'm not political. I've never run for a political office, and I'm not active in a political party. I know one of my opponents is Richard Marks, is active member in the Democratic Party. I wouldn't know Richard if I met him on the street. Same with Susan. I don't know anything about them. I'm not running a campaign against them. What I'm doing in terms of my own campaign is I bought a book on how to run a campaign, so I'm reading that, and I'm calling friends and telling them that I'm running for the office, and I've gotten a lot of support from my friends that have said, we're really glad you're doing this. And in fact, Dennis Hunter said the same thing to me when I called him and told him I was running. He said, thank God that a businessman is actually going to take the time to run for the seat. And I told him, I said, well, I think it's my duty to do it. And so as far as my campaign goes, I'm going to do all the traditional things, contact people, walk the district. My wife and I plan on walking the district and just knocking on doors and telling people, who I am and why I think I would be a good commissioner that they could trust with their taxpayers' dollars. And that would make a difference. I gotta believe that I can make a difference. That's the way I've lived my life. My whole career has been starting with an idea. And I wanted to say something on that too. The best projects that I've ever worked on don't come from one idea. They come from many ideas, gathering a lot of ideas and then putting them together and synthesizing those ideas into a good plan. But you can't, until you gather those ideas, you really should not be moving forward. And that doesn't mean phony, sensitivity type groups, but it means brainstorming, which is a whole different kind of activity. And bringing forth a lot of ideas and then synthesizing those ideas in something that will mean something to people.
So it's off to the races to determine who will serve the 4th District on the Humboldt Bay Harbor Recreation and Conservation District. Incumbent Dennis Hunter has yet to make an endorsement in this race. Incumbents Roy Curlis, Ronnie Pellegrini, and Pat Higgins continue to serve on the Harbor Commission until 2011. Meanwhile, incumbent Mike Wilson from the 3rd District covering Arcata faces a tough challenge in former State Assembly member Dan Hauser. So remember, if you care about the future of Humboldt Bay, the election is on Tuesday, November 3rd. The deadline to register to vote is Tuesday, October 6th. This has been Charles Douglas reporting from Eureka for HumboldtSentinel.com. Thanks for watching.